Hey guys, Dr. Bodle here. Now, if you've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's and maybe you've been prescribed medication, you might be wondering, do I need to take this medication for the rest of my life? Now, whether that medication has helped you to feel better or not, most of the time, if you ask your doctor this, they're going to tell you, well, there's nothing else that can be done, and yes, you do have to take this medication for the rest of your life. And in fact, that's the same recommendation that you're going to see from most major medical organizations and outlets. And if we look up the Mayo Clinic online, here's what they have to say. So here's the quote from their website. For Hashimoto's treatment, most people with Hashimoto's disease take medication to treat their hypothyroidism. And we'll talk about the nuance of that sentence here in a little bit. But continuing on. The treatment goal is to restore and maintain adequate T4 hormone levels and improve symptoms of hypothyroidism. You will need this treatment for the rest of your life. So if your doctor is saying it and the major medical institutions are saying it, why should we believe anything different? Well, because, in my opinion, these medical institutions don't fully understand Hashimoto's. And while their recommendations might be appropriate in certain situations, in general, they seem to be too heavily focused on the hypothyroidism side of the diagnosis and the medication that goes with it. Why do we know that? Well, it's because of the quote that we just cited. The key is the first line. Most people with Hashimoto's disease take medication to treat not Hashimoto's, but hypothyroidism. And if you've been following along, you know that although Hashimoto's is related to hypothyroidism, those two terms are not exactly the same thing. Hypothyroidism is a general term that means our thyroid gland isn't working well and the amount of thyroid hormone that it's producing is low. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition and it's one potential cause of hypothyroidism. But although thyroid medication can be helpful in certain situations where people have Hashimoto's, that medication is only there to bridge the gap if you're not making enough thyroid hormone. And in an ideal outcome, it's there to help manage some of your symptoms. However, it does not fix Hashimoto's and has nothing to do with treating the underlying cause of autoimmunity. As you probably know, autoimmunity is tough to manage. It's a complex web of genetics, immune system function, gut health, and hormonal health, assessing nutrient status and inflammation levels, looking at things like our nutrition, sleep, exercise, stress management, and environmental toxins. And to make things even more tricky, different people are going to have different aspects that are more important to their care. So while one person might really need to focus on their nutrition, another person might have better outcomes if they work on stress management. But no matter what way you slice it, autoimmunity is much more complicated than just taking a T4 replacement medication. So if we just look at Hashimoto's as a progressive, uncurable condition that will forever make your thyroid gland worse and worse until it can't make any hormone on its own, then yes, likely taking thyroid hormone for the rest of your life would be your best option. And I think in certain situations, it can be completely necessary. Maybe you've had your thyroid removed or you've been treated for thyroid cancer. Maybe you underwent radioactive iodine therapy because you were diagnosed with Graves'. And of course, in addition to these more extreme situations, it's possible that you could have had Hashimoto's for decades, and now the damage to the gland is so severe that its capacity to recover is limited. But in my experience, our body also has an amazing ability to heal and recover. And we see evidence of this in people who are making these types of changes every single day. But how do you know if you're someone who's so chronic that it's very hard for you to operate without medication? Or if you're someone who still has the capacity to heal and therefore eventually reduce and potentially discontinue the medication that you're taking? Well, very simply put, we do what we would do in any situation with Hashimoto's, which is we try to improve your health as much as possible, reduce your symptoms, and improve your function. And while we do that, we also do a good job of tracking your lab values. Do I like how most practitioners track TSH in general? Not really. But that's not because it's a bad marker. Instead, it's because I think it's limited in what it can tell us by itself, and it's often used to ignore someone's real symptoms that they're experiencing. We've said it a million times, and you've heard it a million times, but the common refrain is if your TSH is normal, then everything must be fine. And we all clearly know that that is not the case. However, if you've already been put on medication, and as we said, maybe it's working for you, maybe it's not, but now you're approaching things more holistically and you're using different strategies to address those underlying causes, that's when we can make some real headway towards improving our Hashimoto's. So, if we're doing the right things and our health starts to improve, what would we expect to see from our thyroid? Well, if its ability to produce thyroid hormone was previously impaired or interrupted by our immune system, and now we've taken some of that pressure off of our thyroid, well, then it should naturally start producing more hormone on its own. As these levels start to rise, the combination of your natural hormone with the synthetic hormone you're taking from your medication, that's going to start to drive your thyroid hormone levels in the bloodstream a little bit higher than they normally would be. And remember, what happens if our thyroid isn't working well and hormone levels start to drop? Well, as a response, our brain is going to try to stimulate our thyroid gland more aggressively, and it's going to increase TSH. But on the flip side, if we have too much hormone, those TSH levels are going to start going down. So if we can make some changes and start to feel better, which is always our number one priority, and in addition to that, we start to see those TSH levels go down, then it's a great indicator that our thyroid is healing and recovering. And so what you can do is, as that TSH level continues to decrease, you want to talk with your doctor and work with them to make sure that they're adjusting your medication to reflect your new TSH levels. I mean, that's something that they typically do anyways. And many people go in on an average visit to get their blood drawn, and their doctor will say, oh, your TSH is too high, so we need to increase your medication, or your TSH is too low, so we need to decrease your medication. My point being, making those adjustments and making those changes certainly isn't out of the realm of possibilities, but rather doing it in a scenario where you're unhealthy and your immune system is fluctuating all over the place. Now we're doing it with a controlled approach where you're doing things to actually improve the health of your system, and ideally, that drop in TSH and therefore the decreased need for medication is part of that intentional outcome. So have your doctor make that change and track how you respond. And hopefully, because of all the good work that you've been putting in and because of the increased hormone production from your thyroid, you won't have too much trouble with the transition and you'll be able to maintain that positive forward momentum. So keep doing the good things that you're doing. Make adjustments and changes to your strategies when necessary. But as you keep feeling better, the key there is continuing to track your symptoms and continuing to track those labs. Like I said, when you start this journey, you might not know your capacity for recovery, but keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it's possible that as time goes on, that TSH keeps coming down even though you're reducing the medication. Eventually, some people are going to get to a point where they don't need it anymore, while others may feel better and be more stable when they include some amount of medication in their regimen. There isn't a right or wrong answer here, and someone who takes medication isn't better or worse than someone who doesn't. Our goal is always to focus on the outcomes and how you feel. And in my mind, if we can work on supporting your immune system and promote an environment of healing, then a reduction in medication, whether you're able to get all the way off of it or not, is reflective of a powerful change and a huge win for your health. Just remember what I said at the beginning of the video. Our body has an amazing capacity to heal, even our thyroid. And if we can understand the condition that we're dealing with and the underlying causes that are contributing to it, then that can allow us to make better choices for our health, no matter how hard of a condition it is to manage. So even though all those other doctors and health institutions would disagree with me, that's fine. But my hope would be that even if they do disagree, they would be open to tracking the numbers and tracking the function of their patients and recognizing that even if they don't think the thyroid is capable of healing, we should still respond to what's being presented to us and help to support our patients' goals. We're not telling people to do something crazy, we're just telling them that recovery is possible and we should be sensible as we track the numbers of that recovery. But I hope that you liked this video and that it answered some questions for you. But if you have any more questions, thoughts, or comments, leave me a comment down below and I'll do my best to get back to it. If you like this information but you know that you need more help, then I'd recommend getting in touch with my clinic by sending an email to contact@seattlethyroidhelp.com and asking about enrollment in my online course, Natural Hashimoto's Transformation. The goal of my course is to help women with Hashimoto's who want to make changes and improvements to their health, but they aren't getting any help from their doctor and they're overwhelmed by trying to do things on their own. The course will help them go from feeling exhausted and frustrated to making confident decisions when it comes to nutrition, lifestyle, and supplementation. That way they can understand their Hashimoto's and their health better than ever before while feeling energized, strong, and in control of their lives again. The course is a combination of education and a clear action plan. That way you can make real changes. And it also includes weekly live support that extends beyond the course. That way you have help every step of the way. So if this course sounds like it might be right for you, make sure to get in touch. That way you and I can hop on a call and see if the course is a good fit. If you're not ready for the investment of a course and you'd rather keep learning on your own, then there's options for you as well. You can check out any of the other videos right here on my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook for daily tips, strategies, and information, or you can grab either one of my free downloads, which are linked in the description box below. But that is it for this one. I love you guys. I'm proud of all the hard work that you're putting in, and I really do appreciate the support. If you have been finding the videos useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. But my name is Dr. Bodle. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.